episode 2 of Stuck Between a Rock
Not, it's
and a
him.
Bald Spot. What's up, Rocco?
What's up, buddy? I'm gonna be honest. This is our second attempt at doing this because I'm retarded.
Had a slight boo boo.
30 minutes light boo boo. It's all right though. We're gonna recover. We're gonna blow through this. We're not actually gonna. We're gonna take our time, but we did already talk about some of this stuff. So
No blowing.
Yeah, you don't get the unedited raw first go at this. You're getting the second attempt.
take.
Yeah,
Veteran.
exactly. We already went through like a little bit of the stuff, so we're prepped. We're ready. We're warmed up. We're probably should have taken a pee break before this, but it's fine.
We just peed.
That's right. Well, 30 minutes ago, but it's fine. All right. Starting off, we were talking about
MCU.
new Marvel projects.
There are 7 MCU projects slated for release in 2026.
Whoa.
Which is awesome because like this year we only have 4.
I think
that's what we came to the conclusion of.
We haven't looked it up, but we, off the top of our head, thought of 4. There could be more, obviously. 7
sounds right though.
4 sounds right, and 7 sounds like a lot. Maybe it's not. Maybe that's normal, but it sounds like a lot.
Towards the end, they were pumping out like 7 plus, and I think that was the issue.
Yeah, well, because they were having shows and films, and so they'd have like an Iron Man, a Thor, a Captain America, an Avengers. So that's 4 right there, and then they'd have like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 6.
Yeah, they got spread way too thin. So first up, Avengers Doomsday. That is coming May 1st, 2026. RDJ is going to be playing Victor Von Doom. And hopefully it is specifically Victor Von Doom. It's not Tony Stark with the Victor Von Doom veil.
Although I mean, is it going to be Tony Stark who was never Iron Man? Because like I would be okay with that if he was just never Iron, like another universe Tony Stark. He, instead of being Iron Man, he's Victor Von Doom. Although he's not actually Victor Von Doom, he's just Doom instead of Iron Man. I'd be okay with that. Now if he was like Iron Man who becomes Doom, which you said there's a comic like that, right?
It's more so. I don't think he was ever Iron Man. I think he was. I think it's like what you're saying. I think it was Tony Stark. Yeah, that like instead of being good with his power, he decides to go the bad route.
What is Doom has to wear like a mask because he has like cancer or something, right? It's not cancer, but he's like horribly disfigured or something from some
Sugma.
He's like,
so he has to have the mask.
Exactly, dude. He's over there like, nobody cared who I was before I put on the mask.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know.
They could get away with it because he doesn't need to show who he is.
Right. If he never takes the mask off.
I'm picturing Tom Holland being like, Mr. Stark.
Yeah, but so
and he's like, I'm not Stark.
Again, if it's Robert Downey Jr., but his face is horribly disfigured, it'll be okay, right?
Yes. I'm just worried.
He takes his mask off.
The movie started doing bad, and they needed to get RDJ back to try to get the numbers back that they used to. Well, and so that has me worried that it's going to be Stark.
Yeah,
like an alternate universe Stark.
But that's like that like almost negates everything he did in Endgame, and like his entire character arc is just like stupid now.
Yeah. That's why if it's RDJ, who you're not going to see his face playing Victor Von Doom, I'm completely fine with that.
Yeah, it's like Andy Serkis playing every character in every movie ever.
Exactly.
But most of the time they're animated motion cap characters.
Evidently it was Kevin Feige's idea to bring RDJ back, which makes sense. I mean, he's been kind of like the reason for the success of the MCU for the most part. I mean, obviously it started off with Happy Hogan's character, or I mean actor.
Bro, we had to look this up last time, didn't we? What the hell's that kid's name?
It's an interesting name. Anyways, he
Fondue
brought
or something.
RDJ.
What the fuck is that guy's name?
Yeah.
The name coming to my head is Justin Trudeau, which is obviously the Prime Minister of Canada.
That is who
or
it was,
former.
yeah.
Do we say former at this point? And we didn't get in politics. What is the guy's name? Favreau?
John Favreau. Yes, thank you. That's who it is. Favreau, Trudeau, same person essentially.
Same person, dude.
I don't think they've been seen in the same room, so up to speculation. But anyways, so he brought in RDJ, obviously, and kicked off the MCU, but like Kevin Feige, I feel like refined it. So it makes sense that was his idea.
Yeah.
So we have Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars, which Secret Wars doesn't have like a release date yet, or like a concrete one. I think it's coming in 2027 or 2028. But both of those movies are going to be drawing inspiration from the Secret Wars comics. And we had one comic in 84, I think, and then we had another one in 2015.
Perfect.
Which I'm assuming Doomsday will be 84. Avengers Secret Wars will be the second one that came out in 2015.
Did Stan Lee work on the newer one?
I don't think he's actually been working on comics in a hot minute. I don't think, right?
Yeah.
Brother's been really old for like 40 years. I think it took everything in his power to just show up for these cameos.
The original Secret Wars comic book series was written by Jim Shooter and drawn by Mike Zeck. I don't know who either of those people are.
So Stan the Man didn't even pin up the first one. Okay.
I mean, they're his characters for the most part, but yeah.
Yeah. So after Avengers Doomsday, we have Spider-Man Brand New Day coming July 31st, 2026, which I don't like that they're moving away from like the home naming, because you had Homecoming, Far From Home, No Way Home. So it's different now that like after 3 movies now for the 4th one, you're taking away home. But that almost makes me wonder, like, it's probably like a fresh slate for Tom, because like at the end of No Way Home, you know, his like the memory of him has been like wiped from everyone. So it's like brand new day, brand new slate, I'm guessing.
I mean, so maybe. So my thing is like, in the films he's been in so far, he's a child, adolescent, teenager, whatever word you want to use. He's like young Spider-Man, right? It's basically like his origin, right? But now I think we're moving away from home, right? And maybe he's like adult Spider-Man now, right? So he's gonna be in college, which is you leave your house or your home to do it. Not that he really had much of a home to go back to anyway, spoilers.
True.
So I'm thinking like maybe the switch is like they're changing. Maybe now it's gonna be something Day for the next 3 movies or something. Maybe his next 3 movies are gonna have a similar naming scheme that's like we're kind of separating the Spider-Man trilogies, you know?
Oh, do you think we're gonna get another trilogy?
I don't know what we're gonna get, because he was originally signed for 5 films, and that was Spider-Man Homecoming, Captain America Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame, and then Far From Home. Far From Home. And that's what Tom Holland signed for. He signed for 5 movies, and he did those 5 movies, and then he did another one, and now he's doing. I mean, he's definitely going to be in the Doctor Doom Avengers, right? Doomsday, and then he's got his own new film. Sure. So he's going to be in 7 films total. So I mean, it's possible they could do that. And I also feel like, because of, so if you remember in and I don't know, they kind of retcon this a little bit, but maybe they are going to unretcon it. I don't know. But he was given the Friday glasses by Tony Stark in Far From Home.
Oh yeah.
Which I think he surrendered those to like someone, because he got rid of them, or did they break? I don't remember.
He might have surrendered them to Hogan, maybe.
I don't know, but he doesn't have them anymore in No Way Home or whatever, right? Because the whole time I was like, where's his Friday glasses? He could just use those, but like he doesn't have them anymore. But like, if they were setting him up to be like Iron Man's like role, it would make sense for him to get like another trilogy, because he'll be like the new Iron Man basically.
Yeah.
If they were setting him up like that. That's just speculation. I wanted to circle back real quick actually to talking about Secret Wars. I looked up who wrote the 2015 comic, and it was a guy named Jonathan Hickman, which wrote a series called The Nightly News, which I actually have. It's on my bookshelf right here-ish.
That's sick.
It's pretty good. So actually I kind of want to read his work, because Nightly News was good. He had another one that was about like some Catholic dudes called Pax Romana. That one was also good. If you like magic Catholic wizard priest dudes, it's a little ridiculous, but it was good.
So like the Catholic version of Harry Potter?
Not quite. And if you're Catholic, you may not like it. It's a little, I mean, I don't think he's Catholic. I mean, he might be, but I don't think he's Catholic, so you keep that in mind. But so I'm interested now. I'm a little more interested in it than I thought I was a few moments ago. So we'll see how that goes.
So I looked it up. Tom Holland does have a new deal with Marvel and Sony. It is going to be for a new Spider-Man trilogy.
Okay.
And appearances in 3 additional MCU films.
Okay, so
so Avengers Doomsday, Secret Wars, and then something else.
Whatever's
in addition
further down
to Spider-Man. Yeah, in addition to Spider-Man 4, 5, and 6. So, dude, he is going to be loaded by the end of these. Not that he's not loaded currently, but
right.
He could literally just not act in anything else for the rest of his life and probably be completely fine.
True.
That also is going to have him, because we're kind of moving away from like the legacy characters. So that's going to put him as being like probably like one of the characters to have like the most movies if he has 6 films.
Well,
Thor has like 4, but that's it.
He's like one of those ones that like he is one of the legacy characters, because like who else really, like when you, he is and he isn't though, because like look at the first Avengers, right? You had Thor, you had Hulk, you had Captain America, you had Iron Man, you had Black Widow, you had Hawkeye, right? Was that it? Yeah. I think that's it. Did I miss someone?
Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, Black Widow,
Hawkeye.
Hawkeye. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
that was just 6.
Okay. And so Spider-Man came in kind of late. You got to think he came in on the 3rd Captain America movie. It was his first appearance, which was right before Infinity War. I mean, he had his own film and then Infinity War, but like,
yeah,
it was like right there, right? And they kind of did that one out of order, I think, because he's introduced in Civil War, but then his standalone film took place before that.
Yeah.
Didn't it? I'm pretty sure that's...
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it took place before that, because I think the whole thing was at the end he like... I don't know. Maybe it's not, but I'm pretty sure it was before that, because there's the... Oh, maybe it's not. No, you know what?
That sounds right to me.
No, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm pretty sure it was after Infinity War. I mean, yeah, Civil War. It was after Civil War. If I've been saying Infinity War the whole time. God, this kid's stupid.
No, I think you were saying Civil War.
I don't know. There's too many war. There's fucking Infinity War, Secret War, Civil War, War Game.
Okay, so chronological order, yeah, looks like Civil War, and then there's Black Widow, Black Panther, and Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Okay, so it did take place after Civil War. That makes sense because I'm pretty sure at the beginning of the film he's like doing that weird, awkward home movie thing with Tony Stark, and I think that's like at the end of Civil War, or like that's part. So I think that's what happens is the beginning of that film is before Civil War, but by the end of the film it's after Civil War.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that, I think that's why I got confused. But yeah, that's, I don't know if they're trying to make him like the main character, which maybe they are, because I mean Spider-Man is one of the most prominent Marvel characters, so it's possible they're doing that. But you also have to think that Sony has a stake in it, and if Sony's pushing for more Spider-Man films, I don't think Disney would be like, nah, fuck you.
No, I don't think so either. And Sony probably will push for Marvel to keep making them because like they keep trying to make their own and they keep failing. Not their own Spider-Man movies, but their own like Spider-Man in universe character movies, and they all keep flopping and failing and flying around like flounder. Like they're all horrible. So that's probably what they're gonna do. They're probably gonna just keep throwing money at Marvel to keep making the movies, so that way they can both make money.
Yeah. I mean, I will say they're doing a really good job with the Spider-Verse films, but those are animated, so I guess it's a little different. But
those are super good. I actually really do like the Spider-Verse movies. That's fair. That's so far all they've been able to successfully make. I think the first Venom movie did well for them too. Maybe even the second one. The third one, no. Craven, no. Morbius, no.
I liked Morbius. Okay.
Well, what's
it probably deserves its like 3 out of 5 stars or whatever the fuck it's rated, or like I think it's sitting at like a 6.8 or something on IMDb or whatever, and then I think on Rotten Tomatoes it's actually pretty low. Let me look. Morbius.
So, the director of Shang-Chi is also going to be directing Brand New Day. Destin Daniel Cretton is his name, which I'm actually pretty hyped for. I thought Shang-Chi was really good, and I think it's a crime we have not gotten a sequel or any more appearances from him. But he was in the announcement for Doomsday that we talked about last episode. With the chair lineup that they did, so we're at least getting him in Doomsday. But dude, it's been way too many years in between appearances, and it sucks. Like the actor is very cool. He seems like a very cool guy. So it sucks that they kind of waited as long as they did to put him in another movie. But at least we're getting something, I guess.
Yeah.
So those are the only 2 movies that actually have release dates. Everything else out of the 7 are TBA.
Well, not all of them are movies either.
True. The rest of the projects, I should say. That's a good catch. So next up is Daredevil season 2, Daredevil Born Again season 2.
Right. Which is different than the Daredevil
Netflix
show. The Netflix,
which is just called Daredevil.
Well, it's different from it, but they're connected. Are they the same storyline?
No. So ironically, there was a comic run called Daredevil Born Again, and that was actually adapted in season 3 of the Netflix show. So it's called Born Again, which is based off of a comic, but it's not actually following the comics storyline at all.
Hell yeah, because they already did that.
Because they already did that, exactly.
Okay. And when does the Punisher show up?
The Punisher shows up in season 2 of the Netflix show, but he also has shown up in Born Again. So season 2 is filming currently, and it's gonna have 8 episodes, which I believe Born Again season 1 is 8 or 9 episodes. I wish it was longer. I think seasons 1 and 2 should be connected. I think that would fix a lot of the issues a lot of people have, including myself. But it is also suffering from that typical like Marvel, hey, it's cool to shit on Marvel, so let's do it train that everyone seems to be on. Um,
Can you blame
I
them?
think yes and no. Like I think the only thing Born Again has suffered from is just pacing. Which I think if instead of 2 seasons, if it was just 1 season, because like the Netflix shows are like 18, 17 episodes long, which like nowadays you don't really get that long of episodes in any show.
Well, so
It's like capping out like 10 to 12.
how long are the actual episodes? Because if they're doing like some of that like The Last of Us bullshit where like some of the episodes are 50 minutes and some of them are 90, 8 seems fine.
I think they're all 45 plus.
Okay. So they're all different lengths then. Because if they're all like a uniform length, like more episodes makes sense, I think.
Yeah.
But if they're like longer, then like maybe
I don't know for sure what the run times are, but I'm pretty sure they're all close to an hour. Okay, so starting with episode 3, going to 9, 44 minutes, 52, 39, 42, 40, 47, and then 57 minutes.
What the frick?
So yeah, it's all over the place.
That is all over the place. Holy shit.
Yeah, so 39 being the lowest.
39?
Yeah. And you gotta think there's no or actually that's not true anymore. I was gonna say there's no ads either or commercials, but I don't pay for special yeah. I don't pay for the non commercial Disney Plus. So I do have ads, but yeah, 39 minutes is kind of crazy. I think that's the show's biggest issue. I think it's been cool. There's been more lawyer shit so far, which is cool because like season 1, 2, and 3 of Daredevil, the Netflix show, Matt was like early in his law tenure, and like this is a continuation. So like, you know, it's 10 years since the Netflix show. So he's like a better Daredevil, but also a better lawyer. So that's cool to actually see like more lawyer stuff. Which I'm all for. Like obviously I want to see him punching people in the mouth as well, but it's cool to see him be like a good lawyer too. It needs to be longer, man. I don't like this new trend of shows only doing like 8 episodes a season. I think Born Again should have been 1 season of like 18, 17 episodes. I think that would have been a lot better. But season 3 was confirmed today. So we do have that. So it's at least doing well enough to have been greenlit for a 3rd season, which I don't think no other Marvel show on Disney Plus has had even more than 2 seasons. So getting greenlit for a 3rd season is pretty cool. Charlie Cox has been doing a really good job as Daredevil, so I'm all for that.
Is there a Bullseye in that show?
Yes, and it's the same Bullseye from season 3 of the Netflix show.
Okay. They didn't want to use Colin Farrell again?
Dude, he ironically was a good Bullseye.
Even though they made him look so fucking stupid.
They did make him look stupid. I wasn't a huge fan of his accent either. He was doing it's been a while since I've seen that movie, but if I remember correctly, he did like a really shitty Irish accent or something.
I think that's his accent.
Sorry, Colin. Didn't mean to roast you, buddy.
I don't know. Hold on, now I have to look it up because where's he actually from?
If his name is Colin Farrell, that would make sense.
Colin is kind of an Irish sound. Yeah, he's an Irish actor and advocate.
Damn. So he might actually come beat my ass now. Sorry, Colin. I didn't mean it.
Yeah, he was doing this really shitty Irish accent. Dude, I think he's from Ireland. Oh.
You fucking what, mate?
Yeah. Oh boy. All right, moving on. Punisher.
So, Punisher special. It is not a show. It is not a movie. It is a special. It's going to be a special presentation similar to Werewolf by Night, which I have not watched. It is likely to be rated R/TVMA. Which, like, how do specials get rated? Do they get rated on the show scale, or do they get rated on the movie scale?
I'm gonna be honest with you. That's something I've never thought about, and I wouldn't be able to tell you.
Yeah, I actually don't know. We can find out by Werewolf by Night because that was rated similarly, and that is also a special. So, that will tell us.
I think it depends on where it's released. If it's like on TV or like streaming, I think it would be rated as a TV show.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Okay, so Werewolf by Night was TV 14, so yeah, it gets the TV grading, which does make sense. But yeah, I was curious about that because I was like, I could see it going either way. So John Bernthal's co-writing it, which I think is phenomenal news. He is very passionate about that character, which always translates well on screen. Like it reminds me of Sam Witwer. He really loves Star Wars, and so his portrayal of Maul, even being just like voice acting stuff, has been like tip top. He's definitely like very passionate about Star Wars, and that reminds me of John Bernthal. I think John Bernthal is very passionate about the Punisher, as he should be. It's a cool ass character.
Is he more or less passionate about the Punisher as he was about banging Rick Grimes' wife?
I would say equally as passionate.
Hell yeah, dude.
He kind of went off on a crazy spell after getting with Lori, so that makes sense. It's being described as a shotgun blast of a story with all the emotion that you want out of a Frank Castle story, which makes it sound like it's gonna be like short, impactful, and probably a little fucking chaotic, which I think like a Punisher special probably should be. Definitely needs to be bloody and gory, which the Netflix show was very bloody.
I think
if you have not watched that, you should.
I haven't. Maybe I will. Maybe we could watch it together. I don't know. I think though, for it to be a special and for it to be described as a shotgun blast, I almost feel like they're not going to spend a lot of time setting up characters or world building. They're just going to like throw you into some shit, give you a story, give you some action. And like the story is going to be really self-contained to like what is going on in like the movie or the special, sorry. And then
yeah,
like the setup is you had to watch Daredevil or something.
I agree with that. And that makes sense. So Born Again did the same thing. So that's like obviously a continuation of Daredevil from Netflix. So there was no setup, dude. The first episode's actually kind of crazy. It throws you right into the action, and there's no world building because it was already built up through 3 seasons of the Netflix show. So
Perfect.
That's actually a very good point. That the special probably will not do any world building, or at least no like. There's not gonna be like any origin story type stuff. Like it's probably just gonna throw you right into the mix.
Or if there is like origin story stuff, it's gonna be like a quick flashback here and there,
giving you like what information you need and nothing else.
Yeah.
Well, so like Werewolf by Night was only an hour, so they don't have a lot of time to explain much.
I mean, you'd be surprised really how much exposition you could put in an hour, but
well, so like to describe it as a shotgun blast of a story though, like I'm assuming it's going to be like balls to the walls.
Probably, which if it is like that, it's going to be kind of sick.
Yeah. That actually has me like very hyped.
It'd just be like a slasher film, but Punisher flavor.
Yeah. Everyone's running away and screaming from the Punisher. That would actually probably work, in all honesty. So next up, we have the Vision series, which is a like sequel continuation of WandaVision. Obviously Paul Bettany is returning as Vision.
Good.
So this is interesting and also good news. James Spader's returning as Ultron, which is sick.
That is kind of sick.
Obviously, we have not seen him. Well, he was in the What If spinoff, but we have not seen him since Age of Ultron. But they had lots of like Ultron built Vision, so hopefully it's not just flashbacks. I'm hoping Ultron's actually coming back. I think that would be really sick. So this next part's also really interesting, and I'm a little confused their plan with this, but Farron Tahir is going to be reprising his role as Raza.
Who?
Which, if you don't, yeah, exactly. If you don't remember who that is, he is a villain from the first Iron Man movie. He was the leader of the Ten Rings.
This guy. Is this guy? Wrong direction, but
I was gonna say I probably didn't point the right direction.
It's that guy. What is that he's holding? A fucking Lindor truffle? The fuck?
It looks like a looks like he's holding a sugary strawberry.
I think it's one of the like Iron Man like shoulder rocket things or something, but
it is red. It could be like like a weapon from the suit or like a piece of his armor or something. Dude, it's been so long since I've seen that movie. Yeah, he was the leader of the Ten Rings. So he was like the originally like primary villain, but then it obviously switched to Obadiah by the end of it.
Spoilers.
Yeah, spoiler for this almost 20-year-old movie.
Almost My bad, 20. Guys. Oh god.
Yeah, it came out in 2008. Do you feel old yet?
Does the MCU feel old yet? It's about to be able to vote.
True. And purchase alcoholic beverages.
Well, not quite, but we're getting there.
We're getting close.
Yeah, getting close.
After that, X-Men 97 season 2.
Okay.
I did watch that.
Did you? Okay.
It was good.
I did not watch it at all. Who is in that?
All of the cast from the original show from 97.
Okay.
I don't know if it's the same voice actors and whatnot. But like in terms of characters though, it has all of those characters, which is really cool. I highly recommend watching that, especially before like season 2, and also season 3 was also just greenlit. And so their plan is to do an annualized release.
Okay.
Once they get, so they have a new writer. There was issues with the first writer.
I don't know any of these actors. I mean, granted they're voice actors, but like I don't know any of them.
So second season was delayed to 2026 to finish up some rewrites after the new head writer was brought on. So after they get all that mess fixed up, I think from 2026 and on, it will be annualized.
Perfect.
But still no release date on that, other than just 2026. And then last up, out of the 7 projects, we have Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man Season 2, which I have not watched Season 1.
Hell yeah, shout out another cartoon. Is that a Peter Parker?
Animation.
Is that a Peter Parker yes. Spider-Man? It is, okay.
Yeah. When they first announced that too, and they changed it for some reason, that was supposed to be Tom Holland Spider-Man. It wasn't going to be Tom Holland voice acting him, but it was supposed to be his Spider-Man.
But now they changed it. Now it's a different.
Now, yeah, it's self-contained,
okay,
which is odd. I think it's similar in some aspects still, from where they like originally were going to do that.
I mean, that makes sense because like when you think about the Spider-Verse films, the like older Spider-Man guy or whatever is, I'm pretty sure he's our like Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
I want pictures of Spider-Man.
Or if he's not our Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, he's like basically Yeah, he's like basically the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Although
I always got that vibe too. I don't know if they stated that, but I always got that vibe.
They did have so the one thing I will mention about the Spider-Verse films is they had a Prowler. I think it was Prowler. They had a Prowler in there, which is the Prowler from the Tom Holland Spider-Man, which is Aaron Davis or whatever. Which is Childish Gambino.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because he's like selling guns, or he bought guns or whatever, and Tom Holland Spider-Man like sticks him to a trunk or whatever.
In the first movie, I think. Yeah. Yep.
So, and I'm pretty sure he's in when they go to like the Spider-Verse like headquarters. I'm pretty sure he's there for a frame or two, which means that the live action Spider-Mans exist as their own universe, which means that the one that looks like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man is not actually the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, because Tobey Maguire Spider-Man exists in that cinematic universe. I don't know.
Getting hella confusing.
But how does that work?
Some might even say, dude.
When you're all a bunch of animated people, how does like live action work? Like, do they comprehend? I mean, they're not Deadpool, so obviously they don't, but like, do they understand that like that's a different medium?
I guess it all kind of depends on the situation at hand. Like, the Spider-Verse film started introducing like the multiverse, so I guess they have to like acknowledge them to that degree.
But I just meant like if a character from a Tom Holland Spider-Man is there, which is a live action film, and their animated films, the fact that he looks like they have video of him, like he looks so different from everyone. Like, are we just supposed to assume that the way because like they see Spider-Man Noir as like black and white, right? And they see like
I see what you're
Spider-Ham.
Yeah. How are they perceiving him?
Yeah. Because like they're all animated. Even like the kookier ones are still animated. Like the Spider-Punk guy is he's like, he looks like a comic book, basically.
Yeah.
Or like, is it a comic book? He almost looks like a ransom note, honestly, with like the letters torn out of like a magazine. Yeah. So I don't know, like, how does that work? But
that's a good question, actually.
Could have just been an Easter egg too, that they're just like, haha, we did this.
It might have been. There was a funny little Easter egg in the second season of Invincible. I won't spoil what happens in the scene per se, but basically, Invincible like grabs the Fortnite sniper rifle with a specific skin on it and hits someone with it, which is hilarious.
Because he's in Fortnite.
Exactly.
They just added new characters to Fortnite, actually, from Invincible.
They've been adding everyone.
True.
At some point, every character ever created is going to be in that game.
Dude, I love the videos where it's like, hey, that's Kratos from Fortnite, and that's Master Chief from Fortnite.
Yeah.
And that's SpongeBob from Fortnite. I don't think SpongeBob is actually in Fortnite yet, but count your days. Peter Griffin's in there.
He's coming.
Yeah, he's coming.
Spider-Gwen's confirmed to make her debut in Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man Season 2.
Okay, that's cool.
They're gonna eventually make that an annualized release as well. I'm assuming starting with Season 2. And then the writer says they have ideas for at least 4 seasons. So I guess you're most likely gonna at least get 4 seasons of that show.
Okay.
So I will try to watch that by Season 4 at least. Maybe.
Yeah, there's a lot to watch. There's no shortage of things to watch.
Yeah, and that's not like high up on my list of things to watch. I have been recommended it, so I'm gonna try to get around to watching that at some point. I just need to get through Daredevil Season 2, then I'm gonna start Punisher, and then maybe I'll watch it after that.
Some of those things, though, I wonder how much like better it is to watch it when you're younger. It's like, the Clone Wars animated show, for instance, is really difficult for me to watch.
That's honestly fair. The earlier seasons of that show are kind of rough to get through.
It's rough, but when you're a kid, it's not like, I don't know, it's not that big a deal. But as like the pacing, I don't know, it's like the pacing. I mean, it's a TV show, right? And then, like, every episode is a self-contained episode with like,
and you can tell
a
it's
plot.
For children too.
Yeah, but like every episode's got like its own plot that resolves in the episode for the most part. But then there's like a plot that stretches like the whole season, right? It's kind of hard to watch as an adult. It's painful. So like hopefully these shows aren't like that, because your boy's not going to watch them if they are hard to watch like that.
Yeah. That's fair. I do know, what was it, season 8? The two numbers I have in my head are season 8 or season 10, but the last season that they did of the Clone Wars for Disney Plus, very solid. I definitely recommend at least watching that. It kind of ends up running concurrently with episode 3 of Star Wars, not the whole season that they did, but like at one point it finally gets like kind of concurrent with it. Very good. It's only like 6 or so episodes or something like that.
Right.
Maybe 8, but it's shorter, and it cuts out like that issue what you're saying, like where it's very like lots of filler, lots of like childish humor kind of, which the later seasons of the Clone Wars eventually move away from that too, but I suffered through that too. It was really rough the first like 2 or 3 seasons, I would say.
Yeah. So hopefully they're not like that, because I mean,
X-Men 97 wasn't, at least.
Okay.
I cannot speak for Spider-Man yet.
Well, the other thing though is like, I feel like X-Men has always been for a little bit older kids.
I agree with that.
Maybe teenagers even. Even like the way they like, I feel like from the beginning, like just what X-Men is about is more geared towards teenagers, because it's like, I mean, at its base, it's like about bullying and like being different, and
it's a political show, like at its core.
Yeah, and like who are the people who are most like suffering from that sort of thing is teenagers, right?
Yeah.
Like trying to fit in somewhere, and they just feel like they're different, and like everything's like weird, and they feel weird, and they get bullied and shit. Yeah, teenagers.
So that was it for the Marvel projects. Very excited about most of those.
Oh yeah.
Next up, we have a Naked Gun, not really a reboot, it's like a continuation. So Liam Neeson is going to be starring in it as Frank Drebin Jr., who is the son of Leslie Nielsen's character from the original trilogy.
Oh yeah.
That was a trilogy. I didn't even know that.
It's Liam Neeson, Leslie Nielsen.
Exactly. It's really weird how close those actors' names are.
Have you seen this photo? I mean, it's like right up the alley of like the humor, I guess. But have you seen that?
Yes, it's in the teaser.
Okay. That's hilarious.
Yeah, dude, I think Liam Neeson's gonna nail it out of the park with that, because it's like, he's an action star. You think of Taken.
Yeah.
You think of The Gray, like drama or action star. And so for him to be playing a comedic character, I think it's gonna be really good.
This picture, by the way. This is what we're talking about. Yeah, you got it. It's right there. You touched his cute little strawberry panties.
Exactly. So evidently that it keeps getting referred to as a reboot, and it's really not a reboot. It's a continuation, but the sequel, continuation, reboot has been in the works since 2013, and evidently Family Guy and TED creator Seth MacFarlane came on as producer in 2021, and that's when it actually kind of started picking up steam.
Okay.
So I'm excited about that. I have only ever seen the first movie in that trilogy, and it was like I was super young, so I need to rewatch those before that comes out. That could maybe be a good watch party. Have you seen them?
Which ones?
All of them.
No, I haven't seen any of them. I thought I saw the first one, and then I said something about it, and you said that was Airplane. So there you go.
Shout out Leslie Nielsen.
I've seen there's clips on TikTok all the time of like scenes and stuff. It's like, I mean, I know like what they're about basically. It's like a I almost want to say like a Johnny, not like a Johnny English. Is that the Mr. Bean thing, Johnny English?
I think so.
It's almost like I think Get Smart would be a better comparison. It's almost like a Get Smart, like Pink Panther, sort of like funny. Aha, this police officer guy is fucking goofy.
Yeah, it definitely has that vibe.
Or detective or whatever he's supposed to be.
Liam Neeson starring in that's going to be so interesting. I think he's going to nail it at the park, though.
I mean,
it might end up sucking, but
I mean, he does pretty good in every role I've seen him in. So, except for his Qui-Gon Jinn, he was terrible in that. He fucking died.
Exactly. Just
spoilers. That film came out in 2001. If you haven't seen it, fuck you.
It was 2001, really?
I think so. Phantom Menace. 99. It was 99. Holy shit. It wasn't even 2001. Yeah, if you haven't seen that, like, you were born yesterday.
Exactly. No in between. No, I feel like after like 5 years, if you haven't watched it and it gets spoiled for you, it's kind of your fault. Or if you haven't consumed the media, played the game, watched the show, movie, read the book, after at least like minimum 10 years.
What's the name of Darth Vader's voice actor? This is like a famous spoiler thing.
Oh geez, what is his name?
This is sound really bad, but the only name that's coming to my mind is Ray Charles, and that's so terribly wrong.
James Earl Jones. You're so close.
Dude, I was almost there, dude. I had the right. Never mind. So I don't know if you know this, but I guess he was conducting some interview at some point, and they're asking him like questions about like how he felt to be Darth Vader or whatever. And I guess he let slip that Vader was Luke's father before the movie came out. Like a year before the movie came out.
What? That's crazy.
Dude, it's insane. So imagine getting that spoiled for you a year in advance.
That is wild. How many people would have seen that article though, or seen that interview?
I don't know. I don't know what the scope of that was. I just have heard that happened. So,
dude, all right. Let's talk Minecraft movie. You went to go see it today.
Hell yeah.
Give me your spoiler-free thoughts.
My spoiler-free thoughts? Okay, well, let me start off by saying I watched the trailer and I said, this is stupid. And then I watched the trailer again and I was like, God damn, this is stupid. And I kept watching the trailer because everyone was like posting like memes about it. Like there's the whole Flint and Steel thing, which was trending on Twitter on Friday. I opened Twitter and Flint and Steel was trending because people were taking pictures of themselves like in the movie, and the part where he says that is in like the first 10 minutes. People like were like taking videos of him of Jack Black saying Flint and Steel and like all that. And I don't know. My kids have been on this kick where they want to watch like these goofy, like there's like an animated like version of like Jack Black's Steve being like obnoxious, and like I don't know, they've just been watching all this stuff. So like I've just been inundated with like all this like bullshit, right? And then I see a review. The first review I see is I don't remember the exact, this is not verbatim. You don't know what that word means. The essentially what it said, the gist of what it said was, if you're a fan of the game, don't watch the movie, just play the game. And if you're a fan of cinema, you're better off spending your money on any other film.
Oh, I saw that thing.
Yeah. Because I sent it to you. Because I was like, there's no shot. We just released Snow White, and now we're releasing Minecraft a week later, and it's also a flop. Spoilers! It was not a flop. It's doing amazingly and incredibly. And I think after having seen it that like it's probably warranted. Okay. It's a children's movie. And there's a lot of like dopey and dorky like meme debate. I don't know. I think it was made by millennials. It had to be. Because there's like a lot of shit in it that's just like, why did they do that?
Is it the like hello fellow kids type humor, basically?
It's not quite like that. And they actually have some good jokes in there that are like adult oriented. Okay. But there are funny parts, and it's not just like slapstick. Like, I mean, there is some slapstick stuff in there, but it's not just like, oh, this dude fell over, haha. But I think there's a lot of like, they use the game sound effects for like all the like characters and stuff. So like there's villagers, and they don't say anything. They just go, right? And then there's like pigs, and it's just the pig sound effect from the game. And then there's like creepers, and like when creepers take damage, they go like, I can't make the sound, but they're just doing like the sound effects. It's literally the exact same sound effects in the game are in the movie. There was like one song that sounded influenced by the game. It almost sounded like the main like Minecraft theme, but it wasn't quite exactly that. Or if it was like a different like
an homage to it at least.
Yeah. And keep in mind, I'm tone deaf and I have no rhythm, so maybe it was the exact same song, but it didn't quite sound right to me. But like a lot of it was like, there's like a lot of like gimmicky, like if you've never played the game, they had to explain it to you, right? Like they had to explain what's going on in the in the I don't even know what I'm trying to say, in the film, right? Like if you've never played the game, they had to explain in the film what the film's about, right? They had to at least explain it a little bit. And the other thing is Minecraft itself doesn't have a story. There's no, you make your own story. You spawn in the world and you make your own story. You make up your own adventure, basically. Like there's kind of like a progression that happens, but there's no story. Okay.
Yeah.
And in that regard, I think they did a really good job making like an original story. And then like the main character is Steve, which is the original like character
default skin.
Yeah, it's like the default skin. It's like the original character. And so he is they did a, like in the game, it's just like, oh, where did Steve come from? Who is Steve? Why is he here? Why does he look the way he does? Why is he the only Steve type person? But like the zombies are wearing the same thing as Steve. I don't know. There's like a lot of questions that people have always asked, and like they explained it, maybe not the best way, maybe not even a good way. I don't know. But they made a story and they explained it. What I like what they did is they kind of Well, so they've got two of the main characters are brand new to the scene, basically.
I was curious about that.
Okay. Yeah, so we have Emma Myers, who this might be like her breakaway film. She's in the Wednesday show. I don't know how big her character is. She's the Enid Sinclair or Enid. I don't know how you pronounce it. She's been in some other stuff that I've never heard of any of these. I'm not saying that they are, maybe I just haven't heard of them, but like I feel like she's kind of new. Like she's a new sort of fresh actor, right? And then Sebastian Hansen is brand new. He's been in like 5 other things other than this. So this is like his first big project. And then they did a great job standing there next to like Jack Black, Jason Momoa, Danielle Brooks, like big names, you know, like people who are not new to acting by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, they're, I mean, pretty big, well-known names. And so I think they did a really good job with that, of like having like big names and then having new fresh talent. The one thing I will say is that Jack Black is Jack Black in the movie, and I it's one of those things that like I could probably do without that. I don't mind Jack Black necessarily, but like he plays himself in everything.
Yeah, he really does.
And so like I just see him and it's like, that's not Steve, that's Jack Black. And I don't know, I have this problem with a lot of actors, so whatever, it's inevitable. He's like almost too goofy though. I think they did a good job like establishing his character, and you just from the rip you just know he's goofy, so like it's kind of all right in that sense. And then what else was I gonna say? I don't know. It's interesting that it's doing so well because it's a children's movie, right? And usually children's movies are never like the box office success or the box office like smash or whatever. But since it's like it's like the highest grossing film so far this year.
Sometimes they are.
Sometimes
it
like,
kind of depends.
I think Frozen might have been the year Frozen came out.
Yeah.
But like a lot of times they're not, or like they're not. I mean, it's not that they're not up there. It's just that they're not like as successful most of the time. Granted, Minecraft is a huge franchise already, and Microsoft has been, I don't know. When you say video game, most people think of Fortnite or Minecraft, right? Like,
depending on the age group you're talking to, yeah.
Go up to someone who doesn't play video games and ask them to name a video game. They're going to say Minecraft or Fortnite. They might say something crazy like Mario or Pac-Man that's like got like a long standing legacy from like when they were younger, from like when they were kids. But like for the most part, if you say like name a modern right now video game, they're gonna say Minecraft or Fortnite, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't know. So like its success isn't like a surprise. But also I've seen like so much negative stuff about it before it came out that I am kind of surprised that it is performing as well as it is.
Same. So, dude, the numbers it's pulling are actually kind of insane. So, and part of the reason why I said it depends, Super Mario Brothers did amazing.
Which one?
Super Mario Brothers, the new one, not the one from years ago. So Super Mario Brothers made 1.3 billion at the global box office. Not many movies do that in general, let alone children's movies. So that was really good. And right now, this is like looking like it might outpace it. So Minecraft made 157 million in its opening weekend. So it's not only the biggest domestic debut of the year, but it's also the best in history for a video game adaptation. So that means it did better than Super Mario Brothers. So that earned 146 million in 2023, its opening weekend. So
I can't even
looking like
well, hold on now. I can't even name that many video game adaptations. There's Super Mario, there's Resident Evil. Is there a Pac-Man movie? I mean, I guess Sonic, I guess technically.
Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh, okay.
So I have their numbers as well. So Five Nights at Freddy's only earned 80 million its opening weekend. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 earned 72 million.
How much did Minecraft make opening day? Because I think it might have beat Five Nights at Freddy's opening weekend in the first day. If not, it was really close. I think when I looked at it, it was like 60 million or something.
Yeah. Dude, it's pulling crazy numbers, absolutely crazy numbers. Let's see. I don't know if we can see. They might not like track opening day per se. I think
That's
they usually
fine.
look at the opening weekend. But 157 million's like absolutely fucking nutty for opening weekend.
Yeah.
The movie. So this is the production budget. So there's also marketing and distribution costs, but it only costs 150 million to make roughly, with also like the added numbers. So opening weekend, the movie probably is already making money. That's insane to think about, because obviously you're still gonna have like, I don't know, movies are moving out of the theaters a little bit quicker than they used to like 10 years ago, but it's it's gonna clear a billion.
That's
So the global,
unless it does this thing where everyone who was going to see it saw it this weekend and then it just dies.
maybe,
I don't think that'll happen.
That doesn't typically happen though.
Well, so
if it's doing well.
Yeah, well, it's that, but I feel like at this point, it's like a lot of people are gonna see like, oh, well, the review said it was bad, but it's performing really well. I'm gonna go see it and decide for myself. Yeah. And so you get a lot of that of like people who are maybe not interested in it, and now they're gonna go take it. But I mean, how much do we think is like parents taking their kids, or like grandparents taking their grandchildren, versus like, I grew up playing Minecraft, I'm gonna go see the movie?
So it was probably mostly children, but I get, because like you said, a lot of people were like shitting on it based off the trailers. I also thought the trailers looked stupid, but I don't like that game personally.
Well, true, you hate that game.
I do plan on seeing it just for the sake of seeing it. But I guarantee you, like starting off, it was probably like children, but then like the reviews started pouring in, and people were like, "Oh yeah, it's good." And so I bet now like the gamers are gonna start going to see it. Globally, the movie made 301 million its opening weekend. So it added 144 million. So pretty much like global did almost as much as like the US box office, which is pretty insane. Like usually like Japanese inspired or like Chinese inspired movies, or like produced movies will usually do better than they do in the US. But for Minecraft to do almost as good overseas as it did here is pretty fucking nutty.
Yeah.
But it's a universally loved game. So I mean it makes sense.
Well, and so the other thing is like they kind of have a stacked cast. Like Jason Momoa's big, Jack Black's big. I can never remember her name. Danielle Brooks is pretty big. Then they've got like some other like smaller names that are still kind of big, like Jennifer Coolidge, right? And then it was directed by Jared Hess, who has a pretty good track record, right? He directed Napoleon Dynamite.
Whoa, okay.
He directed Nacho Libre, right? I mean, he's got some other stuff that I haven't watched, so I'm not gonna say anything, but like you know, Napoleon Dynamite, Nacho Libre, those are pretty big.
Yeah.
They're actually not rated very well, but I think like Napoleon Dynamite is like the highest grossing film for its budget, like ever. Because like I think the budget on that film was like really low, and then it did really well. And so he's got like some good stuff under his belt, right? And I mean, this movie's a little silly, a little goofy. It's a children's movie, but it's, I don't know, I think it was well executed. And one thing I will say is I was, you know, everything's been like woke lately, and they made like a couple things that where it was like, okay, like girl power, this dude's an idiot because he's a dude, sort of things. But it wasn't like in your face, down your throat, like out of the way, like, hey, we did this specifically for the sake of being woke or whatever. There's none of that like virtue signaling stuff that we've been seeing lately from Hollywood. I mean, it was there, but it wasn't like there, you know?
Well, I think like Jack Black's character kind of is just like, or Jack Black as an actor likes to do the whole like, I'm a stupid male.
Well, so spoilers, but Jason Momoa's character is also kind of like a dumbass. He's meat for brains, basically. Which is fine, it works. But the I don't know. It's it's fine. But it's not like I said, it's not like in your face, like there's no like no instances where it's like, oh dude, this dude's in a terrible predicament because he's a stupid dude. Here comes the women to save him. Like there's nothing like that. So I think in that regard, like it's not over the top woke or whatever.
I'm not expecting to like it, honestly, just because I don't like the game. But like I said, I'm still gonna give it a watch. I actually still need to watch the Super Mario Brothers movie as well because I haven't even seen that.
So that's one of those things that like the game almost is like not there. Does that make sense? The
for Super Mario?
No, for Minecraft.
Oh, okay.
The for the most part, the movie is like, it's the Minecraft movie, right? But it's like they took an idea and just put it in Minecraft, and it's more like Minecraft is the setting more than it's about Minecraft, if that makes sense. Like the backdrop is cubes, and like, I mean, it's Minecraft. They're in Minecraft. They have Minecraft tools, powers, whatever, weapons, tools, all that, and the physics of Minecraft. And there's a lot of things about the game that like people do in the game that they have included in the movie, but it's not like you're playing the game. It's not like the regular progression of the game. I don't know. I think they did a good job. I mean, it's not like you said you haven't seen the Mario movie, but they did a good job too, I think, because it's not just Mario jumping on a bunch of Goombas.
Honestly, I would have been fine with 3 hours of that.
Well, so the other thing is all these video games have been used. All these video game movies have been using like the tried and true like Hollywood face of Hollywood, right? So we got Jack Black, we got Chris Pratt. Like the next video game adaptation is going to have Tom Holland.
Who does Jack Black? I thought you were saying like.
Oh, it's going to have Dwayne Johnson. Next one's going to have Dwayne Johnson in it.
True.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, was he in one? But I don't think he was. So I don't know.
Not yet.
Not yet, exactly. Halo movie, Dwayne Johnson.
As Master Chief.
No, as Arbiter.
Oh, true. Did you watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
No.
It's getting a sequel.
True, it is getting a sequel. I don't watch movies. I need to watch it.
Better than Danky.
Yeah, well, it's like we were talking about last week or whatever. Like I've seen scenes, like the part where there's the two people that go into Brad Pitt's home or whatever. Brad Pitt? They go into his home or whatever. And he's like, nah, your name was dumber, like Tex or something. And he throws a can of soup or whatever at the other chick.
I think it's Sharon Tate's home. It's either Tate's home or it's Leonardo DiCaprio's home. I need to rewatch it. I haven't seen it in a while.
Okay, but anyways, the point is like that scene takes place there, right? And
soup gets thrown.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen parts of it. I haven't seen the whole thing all the way through.
It's a really good movie. I mean, it's a Quentin Tarantino movie, so like I'm kind of partial to it anyways. I'm very interested in the sequel. So Tarantino wrote and directed the first movie. He is only writing this one. He's not actually directing it.
Right. Because
and honestly, out of any of the directors that he could hand it off to, I feel like David Fincher's probably one of the better ones he could.
Well, and so does this have to do with his whole like plan or whatever to only do a certain number of films?
Probably. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Like I guess he really wanted to do a sequel but he didn't want it to be like his swan song. And like speaking of that, like he was supposed to be doing this movie called The Movie Critic, which ironically Brad Pitt's character was supposed to return in that, or like it was being rumored. He dropped that. He's not making that movie anymore. Which Tarantino's really good at like action, and this, based off what I was reading, like off of like what was kind of like known about The Movie Critic, it didn't sound like it was going to be playing to his strength, which Once Upon a Time in Hollywood kind of didn't either. And so like I said, I need to rewatch it because it right now it's one of his only movies I haven't seen like 3 or more times.
He's good at action or really long dialogue scenes.
Yeah. Which Once Upon a Time in Hollywood does have those, but
so does
not
like every other Tarantino. I mean,
yeah,
fair.
So I need to rewatch it. That's another good movie we could watch party in the Discord. So in this sequel, Brad Pitt's attached to star in it, and Leonardo DiCaprio's return hasn't been announced, so people are expecting he probably won't be returning for it. Nothing really else is known about it other than Tarantino's writing it and Fincher's going to be directing it.
What else has Fincher worked on?
So he has done he hasn't actually done a theatrically released film since 2014. So he did Gone Girl in 2014, which was pretty good.
Okay.
But so he's like, a lot of people think of like when they hear Netflix, they think of Fincher. So he did House of Cards, which I didn't know that. He did Mindhunter, which is what I knew him from. Mindhunter's fucking phenomenal. He did Mank, which I have not seen, and he did this movie called The Killer, which, imagine Hitman, but it's not actually Agent 47. And it was really fucking good. It was really fucking good. So all of those on Netflix. So yeah, he has not actually done a theatrically released movie since 2014. And this is also for Netflix, which is interesting. So I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, I think out of any director Tarantino could hand over his work to, I feel like Fincher's probably going to be one of the better ones he could do.
Oh,
Fincher.
I didn't know he did The Social Network and The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Yeah, I didn't know he did Social Network. I didn't know Girl with the Dragon.
He did Panic Room, Fight Club.
Also a good movie.
Yeah, he did. It looks like he's done a lot of like band movie videos.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, he did Madonna, Bad Girl, Michael Jackson. Who is it? Are these music videos for songs? The Rolling Stones, Love Is Strong, The Best of Sting, Fields of Gold, Aerosmith, big ones you can look at. The Wallflowers.
That must have been what he got his start from, I guess.
Madonna again. Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
9 Inch Nails. Oh, Karen O and Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. Justin Timberlake and Jay-Z.
Yeah, so it really seems like Tarantino doesn't want to... It seems like he's hesitant to commit to his 10th film because he's kind of backed himself into a corner because he's always said, I'm going to stop at 10 movies. And so there was talks for a while that he was going to direct, and I'm glad this didn't happen, especially for his 10th movie, but there was talks for a while that he was going to direct a Star Trek movie, which would have been fucking weird.
It might have been the best Star Trek movie ever, though.
Maybe.
And I don't like... Well, so let me preface this. I don't like sci-fi, but I especially despise Star Trek.
That's fair. I've never really partaken in Star Trek. I was always a Star Wars person.
Same.
Sci-fi is kind of... Yeah, I agree with you to an extent with sci-fi. Like, I prefer sci-fi over fantasy, I think, but sci-fi's harder to do and do well. I feel like fantasy's like pretty easy to do, and like even if you do it like not as well, it still is like pretty good. Sci-fi, I think, is a little bit harder.
My big hangups with sci-fi is a lot of times you're making like aliens and things like that, and they just look
stupid.
They just look like humans, but other, like, oh, I have spikes on my head. Oh, I'm orange. I'm blue. Like, that doesn't do anything. Like,
oh, but they're still humanoid. That's true.
It's stupid. Like, I think that's why Star Wars I kind of enjoy, because a lot of the characters in Star Wars are like crazy, like Jabba the Hutt, or those like flying aliens or whatever. Like, they can still be humanoid-esque, but like, make some centipede dudes, make a giant worm. I don't fucking know. Do like bipedal hunter.
You like giant worms. I have the movies for you.
Dude. Fuck, dude. I don't know, like, on Earth, bipedal hunter with forward-facing eyes, like Predator, right? Makes sense on Earth. And then we go into space, and guess what? It's just a bunch more of us in space.
Yeah.
That kind of breaks my immersion, you know? Like, you couldn't think of anything like goofy or silly or insane or like...
It's funny you mentioned the Predator thing. So I don't know if you knew this, but Jean-Claude Van Damme actually was a like stunt person for the first Predator movie, for the original design, and they looked like fucking lobster people. And that probably was like the best change they could have done, because it looked less humanoid. I'll give them that, but it looked fucking stupid.
And see, and that's the thing. How do you make it not look goofy as shit? But like, I feel like we're so constrained. This is why fantasy is cool, because it's like in the past, right?
Yeah.
So like, there's no, I mean, like, and then there's like supernatural, like orcs and goblins and shit, but like those are basically just humanoids that are, it's your whole argument with the Destiny enemies, right? They're just palette swaps, right?
Palette swaps, yeah.
They're but like, when it comes to sci-fi, like, it's always like they're just palette swaps of humans, and we're so constrained by our own like thinking of like, oh, I want to be scientifically accurate. What kind of environment makes this sort of thing? And now we're making fucking shrimp people because they came from an ocean planet or something. And like, cool, but like, they're still bipedal most of the time, and they look goofy as fuck because they're shrimp people. Like, so then you start trying to take like intimidating animals, like, oh, this guy's a scorpion man, and it's just like, okay, but why? Like, what environment does he live in where he needs a scorpion tail?
Desert.
Yeah, I don't know. And that's why one of those things that, like, I feel like Star Wars does that really well, because they go to different planets and the races from those planets look like they adapted on those planets.
Yeah, that's true. Well, so like fantasy, yeah, I guess that's fair. So like fantasy, it's like you're immediately thinking, or at least I immediately think like dragons. Like that's like your first go-to.
Yeah. Dragons, wyverns, wizards,
or like big like trolls.
Yeah.
Or giants. And like giants obviously just a humanoid, but like bigger. But at least that's like different than just I shift the color to green and make his head bigger. Like at least like they're usually like giant, dumb, hairy, and they're fucking swinging around a giant club. So yeah, I agree with that point for the most part. I do still personally prefer sci-fi over fantasy. If it's done well. I think poorly done fantasy is better than poorly done sci-fi, but I think better sci-fi is better than better.
That might be true. Another problem that always, like, I always have a hang up on is like a lot of sci-fi, I don't know, I'm doing quotes. A lot of sci-fi tries to do like scientific, that's why I was doing it. They try and do like scientifically accurate like stuff. And like you can make shit up. It's the future. It's sci-fi, right? It's fiction to begin with. You don't have to constrain yourself by like actual physics and things like that. But that's one of those problems that I think a lot of they run into a lot of issues like that, because you have things where it's like, oh well, like, you know, like you have Star Wars, for instance, which just ignores it, and they're like, yeah, you can make a light speed jump, right? But then there's other things where it's like, oh well, like we can't like jump here or jump there or whatever, like we gotta go, the vastness of space is gigantic, how do we do it? Like Guardians does it by having like gates that you go through, and the gate is basically a wormhole that takes you to a different, like a completely different area. But there's some sci-fi where it's like, oh well, like that wouldn't work or whatever. I don't know. But then like it gets to things like aerodynamics. You can only make something so aerodynamic from our understanding of aerodynamics. And so all these spaceships are like streamlined looking for like reducing friction or wind resistance. But technically in space, there's no friction. So you could fly a cube through space if you really wanted to. Like
that's always been my issue with weapons, is like guns always look pretty similar, and it's like, all right, come on, dude, like we're like 300 years in the future and you're telling me like we're still using like a M4 looking rifle. Come on, dude.
Yeah, well, so yeah,
be original with it.
Yeah, I mean, I liked Star Wars's approach where they just used real guns and just stuck more pipes and random bullshit on them.
Specifically like World War II stuff.
Yeah, just like, but I don't know. There's like some stuff where it's like, yeah, dude, I have this big old gun, and guess what? It's a gun. Like, we're in the future. Let's have some futuristic weapons. A sci-fi that did weapons really well actually was Dead Space. It was still basically just guns, but the guns were all like, one of the guns is a tool, right?
Yeah, it's like a mining tool.
Yeah, and so like it's a weapon technically. Like you could use it, you could use the implement as a weapon, but it's technically a tool. But like it's like, oh, sci-fi. What's the best? Like, I don't know. The way humans think is like, oh, we're constrained. What's the peak of human weapon technology? Oh, it's guns. For personal use, it's guns, right? And it's kind of dumb because like you can only make so many different kind of guns. Even if they are shooting lasers, it's still a gun. Like invent a new weapon for sci-fi. That's like my issue is like I see it. I'm just like, I could have thought of that. Like,
that's why I think the lightsaber was so iconic, is because it's a sword, but it's a
light sword,
sword of plasma. Yeah.
Like, it's a glowing sword. Like, I don't know. Like, it is a sword, and so like, there's only so many ways to do swords, but like, we still haven't figured out how to like really make a lightsaber. Not the way. Not like we can make hot plasma beams, but we can't make them so that they are physical objects that interact with other hot plasma beams, where we can have like a duel where we're facing off against each other like real swords.
Yeah.
And like, that's not necessarily a new weapon. It's still like, I have stick, I beat you with stick type of bullshit, but I don't know. Like, maybe there's it's projectile weapons, like the pinnacle of weapons, because like, that's what ruined sci-fi for me.
Yeah. So I guess the issue is like, where do you go from there? Like
we haven't invented.
Well, I think technically like these exist, but like railguns, that's the word I was looking for. Like railgun, I think, is like what some like slightly into the future games or like media will start portraying. It's like a railgun that's like shooting a magnet.
Yeah. But I mean,
that's still a gun technically. Like, that's like shooting a projectile.
Yeah, it's a gun, but like, I don't know. Make a flamethrower that shoots something other than fire. Like, there's sci-fi.
The Matrix did a really good job with that. It had the like the arc gun. It was essentially like a lightning flamethrower.
Yeah, but that's the thing though, is like, it's still like something we conceivably could make. Arc gun would be really dangerous because it could possibly arc back towards you if there's not something more conductive standing in front of you.
Shout out science.
True, but like, that's the thing. Like, you start getting constrained by science, and then it's like you're constrained by like, we haven't invented something better than a gun yet for like personal like combat, like between two people. So sci-fi doesn't have anything like that, and that like breaks my immersion with sci-fi, because it's like, really, this is this far in the future where we can travel at light speed and we haven't made a better weapon than a gun yet.
I guess that's fair. We really got off into the weeds.
Yeah, we fucking did.
We went from talking about Tarantino and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood to fucking space and dragons and flamethrowers.
What about space dragons, dragon flamethrowers,
wielding flamethrowers?
Yeah, exactly.
So this next topic, I'm gonna mostly let you handle, because like I'm not really in the world of Call of Duty much these days, but this was something that you requested we talk about, which I agree with as big as Call of Duty is. So Warzone and Verdansk are back. Well, Verdansk is back. I guess
Verdansk is back. Warzone, yeah, well, I mean, technically it went away for like a day. It's Verdansk. And the problem I'm having, it's not necessarily a problem, but like, when we look at the game of Warzone, right, which has been the Call of Duty's focus, like, they've still been putting out like a annual title, which maybe we need to go down the history of all that bullshit. But they originally released Warzone in 2020, okay, on Modern Warfare 2019's engine, okay, and Verdansk was the first map that they released, and then it was like a breakthrough, brand new, amazing battle royale where you could have your loadout. There were kill streaks. I mean, they were kill streaks, but you didn't get them for kills. You could just find them or buy them. Yeah. And then there was like buybacks. You could buy your teammate back. Like, no other game had done that yet, like, as far as I know anyway. I'm trying to think of what was out at the time. Like, PUBG was big, Fortnite was big. I guess H1Z1, but like, none of those games had like a buyback system where once your teammate was dead, you could bring them back into the game. Not only that, but there was a gulag system where you fight a 1v1, and if you win the 1v1, you get to redeploy for free. So like it's kind of like new and fresh and like groundbreaking, right?
Yeah.
And then Cold War comes out, which Cold War itself released a year earlier than it was supposed to, and it kind of sucked. And then they changed Verdansk, and it was fine. Like they made some changes. They changed the big changes. There's a tower in a location called Downtown, and they changed it to the Nakatomi Tower from what? Die Hard? Dude, I don't know. I couldn't think of that. And so then it was that tower, which was fine. But it didn't really change the map at all. And then all of a sudden, Vanguard, Call of Duty Vanguard comes out the next year in 2022, and we get Caldera, right? And I guess no, Vanguard came out in 2021, but in 2022 we got Caldera, I think, is how that happened. Something like that. Maybe it was 2021. Maybe it was right when Vanguard came out. I don't remember. It's been a while. You can look it up. The problem is, I think this is where Call of Duty started having problems, is they did this thing that Bungie had been doing, and Bungie at the time had been under Activision, so I'm not sure if it was related, like same sort of business model or same sort of practice, but Bungie was sunsetting maps and content. They were putting it in the vault, so to speak. And I don't remember exactly when Bungie broke from Activision, but they were doing that. And okay, so they parted ways with Activision in 2019, but that practice of sunsetting things that's what Bungie called it, of sunsetting content, it infected Call of Duty. And so
Did they create that term?
Who, Bungie?
Yeah, sunsetting. Like any other game used that before?
So I don't know if that's a term that was used by games, but it might have been used in other arenas or mediums or whatever. Okay. But so Bungie had been sunsetting stuff, and then Activision, who had was renting. I don't know. Activision is renting Blizzard indefinitely, and they owned Bungie. I'm not sure they were partnered with Bungie. There's words there that make sense of how they were connected, but basically Activision was in charge of Bungie, and Bungie was doing that. And I guess someone in Activision saw that and was like, we're going to do that too, because they took Verdansk away from us. Okay. And they gave us Caldera, which, I mean, Fortnite was kind of doing the same thing. PUBG would take a map away for a little bit, and then they would change some things about it and then put it back out. And then Fortnite had like the map, and then once they started adding seasons, it would be like the map would change a little bit every season. And then they did a whole new chapter where it was like a new map, basically. Yeah. I mean, there were like a couple like carryovers, but I think for the most part it was like a brand new map. They added new mechanics, so they made a new map. And I guess that's what Call of Duty wanted to do. They wanted to imitate that. So I don't know if they got it from Bungie or if they got it from copying Fortnite or a little of both. But they took Verdansk away, and they gave us Caldera, which I think most people remember as being like an awful map, because it was worse than Verdansk in just about every way. There were a lot of areas where it just played poorly, and then it ran poorly as well. And everything was green. There are too many trees and bushes. Bad? Huh?
I said, is that why it was bad?
It's one of the reasons. But so Caldera comes out, whatever, and that's with Vanguard, which Vanguard was previously canceled. So the whole history with the thing is Modern Warfare 2019 came out. That was developed by Infinity Ward. Then Cold War came out, which was developed by Treyarch, but it released a year early because between Modern Warfare 2019 and Cold War was supposed to be Vanguard. But Activision canceled Vanguard, and then they closed Sledgehammer. I don't remember. It was something like they closed Sledgehammer or they fired a bunch of people. I don't know. But then they reopened Sledgehammer and forced them to put Vanguard out. So both Cold War and Vanguard were underdeveloped when they released because Activision heads were doing some stupid shit. So that was kind of like a tumultuous time, and they're like, okay, we need to do something about Warzone because we're kind of screwing it up right now. And so they released Modern Warfare 2 again, but it's not the same Modern Warfare 2. It's Modern Warfare 2 with italics, right? Or not italics, Roman numerals. And that comes out, and that's Infinity Ward again, right? And they release Al-Mazrah, which was fine. It was a fine map. I have good memories of that map. They made some changes later on that kind of like ruined it for me, but for the most part, like, it was pretty good. It felt good. The problem was they changed like the engine, the Warzone engine, and they changed how a lot of things worked, and they kept trying to like balance things, and they would never balance things in a way that players wanted. They would balance them in a way that like they boosted engagement, and you could tell, right? But Al-Mazrah was fine. That was a fine map.
What game was that one attached to?
That was Modern Warfare 2. Yeah.
Okay.
Then Modern Warfare 3 came out, which was Infinity Ward's it was a sequel to it was a direct sequel of Modern Warfare 2. But it was Infinity Ward's project originally, and then Sledgehammer took it over. And it was supposed to be like a DLC. The story plays like a DLC. It's super short. It's like really short. And like the engine is I don't know. It's problematic, but the point is they put out another new map, Urzikstan. And so we only had Al-Mazrah for like a year, and then Urzikstan drops, right? We only had Caldera for a year. We had, so far, Verdansk had been the longest at like a year and 9 months or something. And then Urzikstan comes out, and it's okay, but they made a lot of changes that made it like feel different. And they basically, I don't know, the map was fine, but it played, I think it played a lot differently. And then just right when everyone's getting used to that, they released they released Black Ops 6, right? And Black Ops 6 was fine as a multiplayer game, but they implemented all the Black Ops 6 mechanics into Warzone, but it like felt off. And I think it might have been the server tick rate. But they also added a lot of weird like cooldowns. So like, yes, now you can sprint backwards, but you can't snake, which is like laying down and standing up rapidly. You can't bunny hop. You can't do any of like the movement tech that created a skill gap.
But you can run backwards.
Yeah, but you can sprint backwards. I don't know. It was a okay change, I guess, but I personally did not care for Urzikstan like that. Now in Verdansk, they reduced some of those cooldowns, but they also reduced some of the speeds. And I understand why they did it, because Verdansk is a lot smaller than people remember it. And people were saying that you're so fast in 2019. But when you actually look at like a speed comparison of 2019 versus like right now, it's about the same speed. Like we're not really any slower. In fact, I think we're faster now than we were previously. Like the player runs faster.
They have historically done that though. Yeah, like they'll like speed you up or slow you down depending on like the game and the engine.
Yeah, they have done that. So in Modern Warfare 2, you were very slow and like clunky, and I actually really like that. And I know that our good friend Danky really liked that, but we're kind of in the minority on that. Most people hated it. And they wanted like 2019 speed, but it might have been about the same speed, because I think right now, like today, if you get on the game, you're faster in this Verdansk than you were in the previous one. I don't want to say that for certain, but it feels that way, and it might just be like an FOV thing. I don't know. But the whole thing is Verdansk is back. and we've just had like this awful year. I mean, it wasn't really quite a year, but since Black Ops dropped, Kazakhstan was bad and failing, and their first season of Black Ops did okay. Second season of Black Ops, they had huge fall offs, like lowest numbers online of concurrent players in like a decade, right? Mm-hmm. They were doing real bad, and now they dropped Verdansk, which everyone's been asking them to do forever. And I don't know. I just feel like maybe it's too little, too late. They didn't do everything that people were asking, but they did a lot of things people were asking. Like they fixed the cars, they made the guns more powerful. They fixed how loot is. What they really did is they reverted it to floating loot as opposed to just being on the ground. From what I can tell, it still overlaps sometimes, but not from a single person. So if you kill one guy, his loot doesn't overlap his other loot. So his guns won't land on top of each other. His money and his ammo won't land on top of anything. His plate carrier lands somewhere else. His perks land somewhere else.
Spread out in a pile.
Yes,
kinda.
But if you kill two players next to each other, their loot might overlap. And they need to adjust the hitboxes some, because Daniel was playing, he put a trophy system on a car, and then it was just trying to make him pick the trophy system up instead of get into the car, because the hitbox for the trophy system was bigger than the hitbox for getting into the car, or the priority is wrong or something. So in that regard, that's kind of whack. But like they've made a lot of changes that were like quality of life and like good for the community, but I just don't know that like they have, like, I haven't looked at the numbers, but like if they're not pulling good numbers, they already said that they were going to probably not continue working on Warzone, which means that Warzone will die. So
that was an official release, because I saw that thing that said that.
Yeah.
That tweet.
Well, so I think that was a speculation or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I think that it holds some truth, because like their numbers were real bad. And Activision,
this has been the most like flack I think COD's received in a really long time.
Yeah, I think that, yeah, so the current live player count is 50,000. The 24-hour peak is 141,000. And the all-time peak is 500,000, which is low.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so in December 2024, right, they had a loss of 72,000 players. And then in January they lost another 32,000. This is on average, right? And then they lost more in February, and they lost more in March. But in the last 30 days, they have actually had a gain of players. But in November, when Black Ops 6 released, they had a daily average of 170,000. And in the last 30 days, they've had a daily average of 49,000. So it's like a third of what it was.
Yeah.
And, you know, Call of Duty usually does kind of fall off after Christmas every year, because it's been out for a while. People played it. They get bored of it. Other games come out. And especially like in February and March and April, like a lot of new games usually drop in that time. Like it makes sense that the fall off does start to happen there. But hopefully Verdansk will revive it enough that they'll keep developing it at least. But
yeah,
hopefully I mean, my problem is that if Verdansk does well and they see that it does well, they're not going to be like, oh, we listened to our community, now we're succeeding, we're making a good game, and we're making a game the players want. They're going to see, oh, the players only want Verdansk, and then they're going to only have like Verdansk from here on out. And the real issue for me is they need to get rid of skill-based matchmaking, because it alienates so much of their hardcore fan base. And that's why their numbers are falling off so bad, is because it's so tight and so strict. I don't know. There's a lot. It's a complex, multifaceted issue, but basically Activision's stupid because Activision want more money.
True. Unfortunately, as most companies do.
But it's funny that AAA studio is suffering and having these kind of issues when a single person developing a single game about weed is doing so well.
Dude, yeah. Schedule 1 has been absolutely freaking nutty. So it actually landed in the top 30 games of all time on Steam.
Wow.
Because it rocketed past 400,000 concurrent players. It's early access, by the way. It was developed by one person. I feel like this is every game developer's dream.
Yeah.
And a single guy did this. You and I have been playing the hell out of it. It's a lot of fun.
I mean, I wanted to pull Steam up real quick and look at these numbers real quick because you and I have not been playing as much as some of our other friends. So I want to look at this real quick. Cole has 57 hours. No, it's basically 58. Hayes has 46. You have 20. I've got 39. Like, it's not like we're sinking a lot of time into it, but we're still playing it a lot.
Yeah. Well, that's just
like
2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's a lot of fun. I mean, and it's not just weed that you grow either. That's like what you start with, but then then you graduate to meth, and then you graduate to coke. And they're supposed to be adding more drugs through DLC. Or I guess more so or less so DLC and more so like just updates, which is cool. So it is under a little bit of investigation right now for copyright infringement. There's a similar series called Drug Dealer Simulator. Also an indie. That game never did as well as Schedule 1. And so I think they're probably more so bag chasing, but
they have to be.
So the investigation is specifically about elements of the game's plot, mechanics, as well as UI.
I mean, what engine did he build that in? Is it?
I actually don't know. I'm assuming Unreal Engine though.
If it's Unreal Engine, like saying mechanics in, well, so you can only do, how many ways can you do a drug dealer game? That's like it's funny because it's like, it's got like a GTA like drug dealer
engine.
It is actually. Unity. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So how many ways can you do like a drug dealer? Like you're a drug dealer. How many, like, how do you do that, right?
Yeah, like
there's only so many ways to do that. Like, if anything, it feels more like it's inspired by Breaking Bad. Then, I mean, I don't know what drug. What was it called?
Drug Dealer Simulator uses Unreal Engine 4.
Okay, so they're not even using the same engine.
Yeah, I think it's bad.
There's a Drug Dealer Simulator 2.
Yeah, same person made that as Drug Dealer Simulator 1. And so they released 2 games, and their game never pulled the numbers that Schedule 1 pulled. And it's actually really funny too, because I was reading something earlier as well that said like the creator of Schedule 1 was worried about not using the term drug in the title. Because I'm assuming the name references like Schedule 1 narcotics or something.
Yeah.
Like it's a reference to that. So it's like it's inferred, but like some people might not know that that's a thing. So Schedule 1 might not be synonymous with drugs to them, whereas like Drug Dealer Simulator,
I feel
the
like
gameplay loop is literally in the title.
So I ran into this. I was trying to see if you could find some sort of guide or something for Schedule 1. And when I searched Schedule 1, this is like the day it came out. I was finding like tax information.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then so I was like, okay, schedule one Twitch, because I was like looking for a Twitch clip or something. And now it's tax information for Twitch for streamers and stuff. And I was like, well, that's not what I'm looking for. So the name being that is kind of funny that it is that way, and I don't know.
The game's a lot of fun. I hope this investigation ends up falling short. I really like it.
I mean,
so what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was gonna say, like, is this like Mario coming after like Crash Bandicoot or something? Like, it's a platformer. How many ways can you make a platformer that's got a cartoon character? Like, I don't know if they have grounds for it. I mean, maybe they do, but like, if he's got a lot planned, and maybe in that regard he can make a good case, like, hey, this is like everything I'm going to have planned. Like, the fact that there's some overlap when both our games are about being a drug dealer, like, it's inevitable.
Yeah, it'd be like Saints Row versus GTA,
which totally different games.
Yeah, but there's some overlap.
Yeah, like shooting people and driving cars.
Yeah.
Which you can also do in Schedule 1. You know, GTA is gonna sue Rockstar's gonna sue old Tyler there.
People are estimating around 2 million copies were sold of Schedule 1, which is pretty crazy.
That is pretty crazy. It's only on PC. It's early access.
One guy made it. Like, that's the biggest thing about
one guy made it.
That's the main takeaway.
And not only that, but like I feel like it's kind of a taboo subject, right? It's drugs. I mean, like marijuana, whatever. But like meth, like isn't everything always like, oh, don't do drugs, kids? And like, I don't know. I'm straight edge. I don't consume any drugs of any sort and never have. But I've been playing that game and I've been having a lot of fun with it. But you know, you can also smoke meth in the game and turn into a Cyclops and glow green and have lightning or explode.
That's what I'm curious about. So does shit like that happen in Drug Dealer Simulator?
If it does, they might have a really good case.
Yeah, and then if it doesn't, I feel like it's completely thrown out. So like there's a couple of things that like that case is going to hinge on. I'm really curious. But if they're hinging it on like, oh, well, you can plant weed and harvest it and then sell it. It's like, well, yeah, the game is called Drug Dealer Simulator in Schedule 1 and you're a drug dealer and it's a simulator game. So like, yeah, our games are similar in the fact of like you're planting a drug and then harvesting it and then selling it. I don't know. And who knows, maybe Tyler, the developer, made like maybe he used it as like the groundwork for it.
But this is one of the things, I don't know. I can't think of many one person developed games that are as successful. I think the biggest one that's even close is Stardew Valley.
Oh, that was only one person? That's cool.
Yeah, I think that was one person. I think it was Stardew Valley anyway. And I might be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure Stardew Valley was a single person developer. So I don't know.
Let's move on to Switch 2. They finally actually officially announced the release date. So the release date's June 5th. Suggested retail price of $449.99. So $450. So it was originally supposed to go live for pre-order on April 9th.
2 days from now.
They are no longer,
a few days ago in the past when you watch this.
Yes. So, yeah. That released, or the pre-order date got indefinitely moved back due to the tariffs. The release date is not supposed to move though. Nintendo did state that the release date should be remaining intact, so that's good.
And that's global release date, or that's in America?
I believe that is the global release date.
Okay.
They're doing something super interesting if you want to purchase this system from the Nintendo store. So you can register your interest. Um, and so if you're selected, if you so you register, you'll be sent an invite to the Nintendo account email when it's time to purchase. And invitations are only going to go out to people who have at least a minimum of 12 months of paid membership and a minimum of 50 total gameplay hours as of April 2nd. So by the time
and the account holder has to be 18.
Oof, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, because I signed up for both. I signed up for both the kids, and then I read that, and I was like, "Well, fuck."
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if that could be like a loophole to where you're like, well, yes, the account holder is my children, but I'm the guardian of my children.
Yeah, I don't know, but it said the account holder had to be 18. You had to have 50 hours of gameplay prior to that announcement. So, like, if you're trying to get your gameplay now, just stop. It's too late.
It's too late.
It's too late. It was too late the second they announced it. And then the 12-month subscription thing is kind of crazy because, like, what if you bought one like last week? You could put 50 hours gameplay in last week, but if you didn't have 12-month subscription, like, oh well. And so, like, it's one of those things that, like, I'm eligible, but Greg had been on my family plan for a couple years because family plan gives you you can have 8 accounts that get access to online, and it's like $10 more a month than the regular individual plan. So I was like, why the fuck wouldn't I do that, right? And so Greg had been on mine for a while, and then he wanted to upgrade to the higher tier plan, but he didn't want me to have to pay more, and he didn't want to figure out when he needed to send me extra, like, $20 a year or whatever. So he left my plan and got his own plan, and I think that was only like 6 months ago. So he's not eligible for the console through Nintendo. You can still pre-order through, like, GameStop and Amazon, Best Buy, etc. Walmart, Target.
Probably GameStop.
Well, yeah, but it's just, you know,
the original Switch, like, was pretty sold out for a while when it first came out. But
well, so
was that COVID, or was the Switch Lite during COVID?
The Switch was before COVID, but the interesting thing about the Switch, at least I think it was, I'm pretty sure the Switch has been out like 7 years.
I think COVID like put a damper on shipment times.
Let's see. Switch release date came out March 3rd, 2017.
Yeah, it's right before COVID. Okay.
Yeah.
What about the Switch Lite? When did that come out?
That came out right before COVID, September 20th, 2019.
Okay, so I think it was specifically the Switch Lite. I remember not being able to find one.
The Switch was interesting though, because it wasn't one of those things that, like, we hadn't quite hit the era of, like, the PS5 where you could only pre-order online and, like, you had limited whatever. Like, you just couldn't find Switches online at all, but you could find them in stores sometimes. And so a lot of looking for a Switch for me was driving around to different stores and looking. So every time I went to Walmart, I would look for them. I would like take a day off, like one day, and I would go hit like 3 or 4 Targets, 2 or 3 Walmarts, like a GameStop or 2, and like look at, because like a lot of times I would call and be like, hey, do you have this? And they're like, we can't tell you. Or they would say like, they were like, we can't tell you if we have it in stock or not. Or it would be like one of those things where they're like, we have it, and then I would get there and it was sold because they wouldn't hold it for you. Yeah. And so it was funny though, because one day I walked in to a Walmart. No, I wasn't even there for a Switch, but I was like, I'm at Walmart, might as well check. I've been checking every day. And I walk back there and there's 4 sitting in the cabinet and there's a guy standing there. And I was like, oh fuck. So I go and I get an associate and it's like, yo, can I get 2 Switches? Because I was going to buy 2. And he's like, yeah, dude. And he walks over there and he hands me 2. And that guy's there and he's like, yo, can I get one? And he's like, yeah. And then as I'm checking, like as he's handing the other guy one, another guy walked up and was like, oh shit, you got Switches? I'll take one. And all 4 of them were gone. Boom. Just like that. If I had been 10 minutes, dude, if I had been 10 minutes later, like maybe I wouldn't even got one. Cause I bought 2, 2 other guys bought 1, like all 4 gone. Boom. But what a lot of people, what I've been seeing anyway, is a lot of people are very up in arms about the cost of the Switch, and they've been comparing it to the Wii U. There's this little thing. I guess I can finagle this onto the screen. Somehow. Hold on, let me figure out how to do this so y'all can look at it. Sure, we're gonna save it there. That's not a great place for it, but we're just gonna save it there anyway.
There's been lots of flack of the price of the games too. So like, they're gonna be minimum $70-$80. It seems like, at least for like first party full fledged games. Like I think the Donkey Kong game is a little bit cheaper, but I don't think it's like to the scale of like a full fledged Mario game or like Legend of Zelda.
Yeah, so I saw this comparison earlier. It's comparing the Switch 2 to the Wii U, which is insane. These are their points. Insanely overpriced, named very similar to its predecessor. It's got a divisive reveal. It's not a complete reinvention. It adds a camera and a mic. There's no cool color options. And there's two first party games at launch, right? So like it's the same sort of, they're using it almost as like an omen, right? Like a I don't know what to call it.
History's doomed to repeat itself.
Yeah, that. I don't know if they say it's insanely overpriced, but I don't really think so. It's got a better screen, which Nintendo does this thing. They have this habit of doing everything like not good enough. I don't know what's wrong with them on that. I think we talked about this last week. But it's like they are always like a step behind, it feels like, right?
Yeah.
One of the big selling points is that the new screen is 1080p. Brother, huh? I haven't had a 1080p TV since like 2010. Right?
It will output to 4K.
I don't play PC in 1080p. I'm playing in 2K. Like,
yeah.
I mean, yes, there is that, but they're like, our screen is 1080p.
Yeah, it's not a selling point in 2025.
And the other thing is like, I think the console's only about as strong as like a PS4 Pro. Which like is kind of impressive that they fit it into that small package, but like also PS5 blows the PS4 Pro out of the water, like base PS5.
Yeah.
And that's not even like comparing it to Xbox Series X, which is even stronger, and then the PS5 Pro, which is even above that, and then you have PCs which are even above that. So like it's not even like keeping up with current gen. And I don't know. I want to. I don't know.
So the original Nintendo Switch launched in 2017 with an MSRP of $300,
and it's still $300.
And the OLED was $350.
Right.
The Lite was $200.
So if the OLED is $350, which the Lite, I mean the OLED is still $350 right now. Like if you go to the store, it's $350, right? And so being $450, it's like $100 more than the OLED. I don't think it's that big a deal. Like people are like, if you're a super casual gamer and you don't want to spend a lot of money on a console, just buy a regular Switch. Buy an emulator. Actually, that's more bang for your buck. Buy an emulator. Like don't even bother buying a Switch. Buy an emulator. Buy one of the ones that hooks up to your TV. I don't know, dude.
Yeah, I feel like if you're upset at the price point, you're probably not the target demographic of buying a brand new console at release.
No, probably not.
Especially when it's not that much of an upgrade. It does suck because like, which we'll talk about this in a little bit, but like Duskbloods, that is going to be a Switch 2 exclusive. So if you're a FromSoft fan, you will obviously miss out if you don't get that game.
Well,
but also,
do we know the price on that yet? Because they're doing this thing where the Mario Kart game that's coming out on release is going to be $80, which is more than most games currently cost.
Yeah.
Like, I know some of the newer games have been pumped up to 70 over 60. But so this is US dollars. $80 is kind of steep. However, I will say if you could buy a Switch 2 bundle, right? That's something that they've already announced, and it will come with Mario Kart, and that's only $50 more at $4.99. So you're getting a you're getting a $30 discount on the game. So if you're gonna buy both, buy the bundle, right? If you can get the bundle.
Get the bundle for sure.
If you're not gonna buy Mario Kart, then you just saved yourself $80. I don't know. I'm a PC gamer, and I have a top of the line PC. I've got 2 PCs, and I spent like, I don't know, $3,000 on both of them. Each of them was $3,000. I've got a $1,000 microphone setup. I've got a $1,000 camera setup, right? $500 for a game and a console is not like, that's not that doesn't hurt me, you know? Like, that's not something like that. I'm not gonna look at that and be like, oh dude, I can't get the Switch 2. My problem is that my kids are gonna want one. I want my own. I'm gonna be buying fucking 3 of these things, dog. I'm gonna buy 3 of them. Okay, and we already own fucking 4 Switches. Okay, I own 2 PS5s, dog. The children, dude, they want me to buy a second Xbox. I'm not doing that, but because
what I'm hearing is buy stock in Nintendo right before you buy 4 consoles.
Dude, it's I don't know. I'm not trying to flex my money, by the way. I'm just saying, like, the entry point into Switch 2 for me is not a money problem. It's more like, I wish they would have made a stronger console sooner. This should have been the original Switch.
So I plan on streaming the Legend of Zelda games at some point, because I've always heard they were really good, and I grew up not being a Nintendo player. So from what I've played out of the Mario games and stuff that like I do currently own on Switch, it sucks because I don't like, if they're gonna be similar to like what we have now, they're not gonna be worth $80. Like we just bought the new, well, it's been a few months ago now, Mario Party. If they released that for $80 on the Switch 2, I would be pretty upset because there's just not enough like meat there to justify paying $80. Like something like that to me is in terms of like how much entertainment can I get out of it. If I'm gonna get $80 worth of entertainment, I'm fine with that.
It's funny you mentioned that because I think everything that came out on Switch, which keep in mind, Breath of the Wild came out on Wii U also.
Yeah.
Right? I'm pretty sure it did.
Yeah, it was a Wii U title that they like ported to Switch.
Was it ported or they released it concurrently?
Or well, yeah, they might have.
The point is like Breath of the Wild, for instance, had to run on Wii U, which like the Switch is not much stronger than the Wii U, and people are talking about like, oh, Wii U is like barely a step up from the Wii. It was a big ass step up actually. Like I said, prior to that, I'm pretty sure the GameCube was like the strongest console they had put out, and then the Wii was like a step backwards almost. I think it had like a better processor, but like there was something about it that like made it worse. Don't quote me on that. The Wii U was, I mean, it was a bigger step up. It was the first time that you could play HD, I'm pretty sure. I don't think Wii supported 720p.
It might not have, to be honest with you.
Maybe it did. Maybe with component cables it did. I don't know. I didn't have one. Wii U did, and then Switch does. But the biggest constraint for Switch games is the hardware. It is the console. So like the Zelda games are good, but they're really limited by the hardware they're on, especially when you emulate them on PC. And it's like, oh my god, this game can actually run really well, but the Switch hardware is just so bad. Another one that comes to mind is the new Pokemon game, Scarlet and Violet. There are times where objects in the game are like 10 FPS in docked mode, right? I played most of those handheld because the FPS it's not as bad on, like, you don't notice it as much when the screen is smaller, because it's a smaller screen. It's harder to look at like one specific thing in detail, because you're just looking at everything the whole time. And I enjoyed them, but like I definitely noticed some parts where like the frame rate was low, and it was like, dog, this looks awful. And then I would go play Warzone, for instance, and I'm looking at 90 FPS. And even right now, I'm looking at like 270 FPS on Warzone, which is what my monitor can show. I get higher frames than that sometimes, but I can't see them because my monitor doesn't have the refresh rate to match. And I think current Switch is really limited by that. And I don't need better graphics on the Switch 2 for the titles that are there. I just want them to run better. And so that's why I was saying, like, I feel like the power of the Switch 2 is kind of like lacking still for, like, it's a stronger console for sure, but it's like not enough, you know?
Yeah. Like the Switch already released at a step below, and so it's like, yeah, the Switch 2 is better, but you're just going from a step below to a step below. Like,
yeah. And
it needs to be on par as opposed to a step below.
I don't even need it to be on par, but it needs to be close, right? It's not even like close, right?
Yeah, the Switch 2, I think, is what the Switch should have been in 2017.
Yeah.
Trying to advertise 1080p as your selling point in 2025
on the handheld screen. Remember, on the handheld screen is 1080p. Whack. I think. What is the Steam Deck? Because I think the Steam Deck is also 1080p.
That's a good question.
But so the Switch is, it's technically 800p.
Yeah, but it can also output to external displays.
Yeah, at 4K, but
at up to 4K, yeah.
Okay, so the Steam Deck's display has a refresh rate of 90 hertz, which there's a lot of different Steam Decks, so I don't know which one this one's talking about. There might be a stronger one that does better. And then I think Steam Deck's also making a newer version, I think. Then there's the Asus, right?
Oh yeah,
so the Asus
is Strix or whatever.
Yeah, the Ally.
Yeah.
That's also 1080p with a refresh of up to 120 hertz. So the Switch 2 is at least hitting that threshold as well.
Yeah.
So it is technically competing with the current handhelds on the market. But they're already out. So I don't know. They're kind of late to the game, which is typical Nintendo, I think. From where they started to where they've been recently, like, they're just late. It's like they're a few years behind, and I don't know if that has anything to do with like the political climate or like the bureaucratic climate of Japan, or how Japan's companies are run, or any sort of like legal stuff. I don't know enough about Japan to say anything about that. That could be, which might be why Sony moved to America. At least Sony Entertainment did. Hard to say.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I feel like it might just be because they don't feel the need to obsess over um like graphics and stuff like that like we do. And I mean, look, it's Nintendo. They obviously are like it works for them.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, when you look at Japan, which think of Nintendo as a Japanese company marketing to Japanese people. In Japan, like anime is super popular, and that's cartoons, right? If you can display cartoons, you should be good, right? Is basically, I guess, what they think. They don't need things to look hyper realistic like a Call of Duty, right? It could just be a cartoon, which is what all their characters are. Like even the most like latest Mario, he's still a cartoon looking thing. Like yes, he looks like he has some texture, and yes, he looks like he's like animated, not a cartoon, but like it's technically a cartoon. Yeah. Not cell shaded, but it's, you know, I don't know.
I am definitely going to try to get my hands on a Switch too because I want to play Duskbloods. At least I think. I'm slightly hesitant because it is a multiplayer game. It supports up to 8 players. It is from software though. So like you and I played through Elden Ring together twice.
Right.
I played through partially Dark Souls 1 remastered and I played Dark Souls 3 remastered for all of 20 minutes. I do plan on going back and actually trying to play those through to completion, probably with you. Big fan of those games. They're challenging. When you finally beat a boss you've been stuck on, there's like a real sense of accomplishment. But yeah, they're fun. Duskbloods seems interesting. It's very like um Victorian vampire type atmosphere.
Yeah, like Edwardian or something.
Yeah, it being online multiplayer though is interesting.
That might not be the right time frame, but it's like I don't know. I got the feeling that it was like late 19th century, early 20th century. I don't know. When was the London Bridge built? It was like around then, I think. What was that?
I don't know, but it is falling down.
Damn. Again?
I don't.
You know, it actually did fall down.
And it's from software too, so it's probably not going to be like an actual like set. Like it might even be taking inspiration from like several different time periods.
Okay, so it began in 1176 and was completed in 1209. Wow. But the second bridge, which is the one I was talking about, was 1824 to 1831. So quite a bit before I thought. But so that game, I want to say it looks like it's like late 19th century, but maybe it's not. Which I think would be the Edwardian period.
Okay, so this says there is no fixed era or location in which it takes place. There are traditional Gothic or Victorian style maps, as well as those depicting the closing years of early modern period.
Okay. Well, Gothic can be a lot of things, but that's like,
yeah,
we're basically looking at, I mean, you could, what is the actual Gothic period? Because I think it starts in the 1600s, but yeah, okay, so it's mid 12th to 16th century. But Gothic literature, which is not the architecture, was 18th century and 19th century. But from what you just said, I mean, vampires, it's vampires, right?
Yeah.
And vampires live a while. So possibly it's longer or whatever. Like there's a long span of time or whatever. So Vlad the Impaler was in the 15th century from like 1431. So like,
yeah,
we could go back as far as that, but from what I was looking at on the trailer, it looked like it was mostly like 19th century. So like 1800s.
Yeah, I don't know how much story there's really going to be here. The whole concept's very interesting. I say I'm hyped for it. And that is going to be the main driving force behind me getting a Switch 2, but um there's a chance maybe they drop some gameplay stuff and it looks stupid. I don't get it. Maybe. Especially for $80.
Also, just a funny aside, this is a tangent. King Charles III might be a descendant of Vlad the Impaler.
Hell yeah. Shout out vampires.
It's true. True. He do be kind of looking like a vampire, honestly.
True. So Duskbloods is not releasing until sometime in 2026. So we have a while.
Yeah.
So this next topic, moving away from games.
Moving away from our fun lightheartedness too.
Yeah. So Russel Brand, most people know who he is. He used to be. Were they married? Him and Katy Perry? I don't know. They were together.
Yeah, I think they were. Yeah, they were. I just looked it up. They were married for 2 years.
They are no longer married. So between 1999 and 2005, it is being alleged that Russel Brand raped and sexually assaulted up to 4 women. He was finally being investigated in 2003. Sorry, 2023. And he's just now actually getting charged. So I think Friday he was charged.
Wow. I'm surprised that a allegation from, I mean, when did they actually like
come forth?
Yeah. Because if it was back then and he's just been like fucking around until now, that's crazy.
That is crazy. I'm assuming they came forth in 2023.
But the other thing is I'm surprised to see a case that where they came forward and they had enough evidence to actually get a conviction.
I'm guessing that's what took so long, because from September 2023 to obviously April of 2025, that's a hot minute. And yeah, between 99 and 2005, obviously like any rape evidence is going to be gone. But I guess if they had enough evidence for the sexual assault or eyewitness, or I don't know. But I mean, they at least had enough evidence to charge him. I never liked him. I don't know what it is about him. I thought he was a stupid comedian. I never thought he was funny.
Yeah, but he did some voice acting. He's Dr. Nefario in the Despicable Me and Minions movies.
I actually have not seen those, so I don't care.
He was also a character in Trolls named Creek. I don't know who that is. I haven't seen that, but I know that movie was kind of a bigger thing. He was also in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, which is like
the Justin Timberlake and Anna Kendrick movie Trolls.
Yeah. Yep.
I didn't know that. I didn't know he was in that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so you just said that, and I was like, I don't remember them being in that movie, and I was like, oh, the voice acting.
They're the main characters.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting that they got a conviction or whatever. I guess. Well, did they get a conviction or they charged him? Because those are different things.
He's being charged. They are, okay. They're very different things.
Well, so
he's being charged, but there's enough evidence to charge. Because I mean, that's the thing. If there was not enough evidence, they wouldn't have charged him. So there was at least enough to slap the charges on him.
Maybe. Said she was
charged with 2 counts of rape,
30.
indecent assault, and 2 counts of sexual assault.
So being charged just means they're going to go to court.
Yeah.
That's not the same as he was found guilty.
Correct.
They're going to investigate him now.
No, the investigation's already happened.
Well, I mean,
He's
when I say
the charges.
Yeah, when I say investigate, I meant like they're going to like look at his case under the scrutiny of like a jury. That's what I meant. I don't know. That's interesting. I never really cared for him. He's kind of like a dickhead, I think, for the most part.
Yeah, especially be running around doing that. That's kind of crazy. If he did.
There's a blurb
until proven guilty. But...
Hold on. There's a blurb on his Wikipedia page that's like, you want to hear what he sounds like? Here's his voice. And it's him talking about his sex addiction.
Not a strong case in favor of him.
Not a great look there, brother. Not a great look. I'm looking for that. I want to see the footnotes on that, because is it like something he was in, or like is he specifically talking about his own addiction to sex? Because if that's what that is, that's not a great, dude, it's not a great look. I don't know. Homie might be might be saying the end to goodbye to his career, I think.
Yeah. Good riddance.
Damn. You're just mad because he's taller than you and has hair.
He might be onto something.
This kid is 49 years old. Jesus Christ. It's old as hell.
Damn, you're right behind him.
Damn.
You'll be there before you know it.
I don't know. I don't plan to live that long.
Damn.
I'll die.
Yeah, I don't know. I personally, I never found him funny, and I never understood how people did find him funny. And
that sounds like a question for old Dankaroni, because while I don't think Daniel thinks he's funny, I think Daniel could at least explain why people find him funny. I've never actually watched excuse me. I've never actually watched any of his stuff in any capacity to where I'd be like, oh dude, he's hilarious. Yeah. I see like clips and stuff of him, but it's usually I'm just like, this is dumb. So if the clips are down, he's probably just not great.
True.
Oh, he's a podcaster, dude. We should have him on. We should have him on the show.
I'm sure he'd be thrilled.
Our first guest star. Dude, could you imagine?
Rape and sexual assault. That is crazy.
Do we have to put a trigger warning for that?
Probably should, to be on the safe side. Better to be safe than sorry with something like that. Maybe one of his
just
victims.
In the timestamps. Yeah, but I'm just meant like in the timestamps. Just put a TA on the timestamp, or TW. I mean, I don't know what the fuck is a TA? Teaching assistant. Cool.
Yeah, I'll throw a teaching assistant on the timestamp.
What does that even mean, dog? All right, moving on.
More lighthearted. Eminem's daughter, Haley Jade, gave birth to her first child with husband Evan McClintock. It is a boy named Elliot Marshall, which is cool. Obviously, Eminem's real name is Marshall Mathers, so that is a.
It is? Damn, I didn't know that.
Yeah, a lot of stuff you don't know.
Yeah, I know.
I'm actually not bald. Bet you didn't know that.
I mean, I did actually know you're not fully bald, but you got a nice little. You should grow your hair into a tonsure. Actually, I think that's how you say it.
Into a fucking what?
A tonsure.
I couldn't even begin to spell that to look that up.
It's a monk haircut where the hair goes around like their head and it's bald on the top.
Fuck yeah. I think they did that in what's that Hulu show? Was it not the Samurai? Or was it the Samurai?
It was, in fact, the Samurai. I'm just saying that. I don't actually know. Was it the Samurai?
Tonsure. Okay, yeah. They have that haircut. Some of the people have that haircut in that show.
Before our friends in the audience get feel left out, here's a picture of it. Tonsure haircut right there.
Shogun, that's what it's called. It's called Shogun.
Okay. I don't think there's
that's
Catholic.
A fucking good show, by the way.
I don't think there's Catholic monks in Shogun, but if there were, they might have tonsures. I don't know what. I said Catholic monks, but I don't actually know if that's even true. Often seen symbol of humility and dedication to religious life. Maybe.
Yeah, there are Catholic priests.
Maybe so it's the Celtic tonsure. But this says something about the Oriental consisted of shaving the whole head. So there are variations in different places. It's been used in Hinduism, Christianity, Buddhism, Judaism, in Islam. Oh, Islam says partial tonsure is forbidden.
Oh.
Yeah, it says Muhammad forbade shaving one's head on some parts of head while letting it grow on other parts, as in tonsure. However, shaving the entire head is allowed. Interesting.
That is interesting.
So this page is not saying that people used it in these cultures. It's saying that this is what they say about it in these cultures. Okay, so Hinduism, it is used as a rite of passage. Christianity, it was used in antiquity. Okay, so there was the Oriental, which was shaving the whole head, observed by the Eastern churches. The Celtic tonsure, which is the exact shape is unclear from sources, but involved shaving head from ear to ear. What the fuck? It looks like they shaved it like over the top, like this, like just like a line, and then like all of this was shaved, but like ear was not.
Yeah.
And then the Roman tonsure is like the one I sent a picture of. Which is
in Shogun, some of the like people did almost like an inverted mohawk, and then they would still have it like in a ponytail.
Right on.
Or at least up in some sort of like knot / tail type thing.
Anyways, what did this have to do with Haley Jade? How did we get here from Eminem's daughter having a child?
Because I said I wasn't bald.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Eminem's daughter welcomed her firstborn child. So Eminem is a grandfather now. It's pretty cool.
I mean, he is pretty old.
He is getting old. Shout out aging. Speaking of aging and getting old, R.I.P. Val Kilmer.
No. Oh, very, very man.
Sad. I know. He was doing really bad for a little while. He was diagnosed with throat cancer in 2014, but he recovered.
I remember that.
Because he had a tracheal procedure, and that damaged his vocal cords pretty bad.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say he was in something though recently. You know, he's in Top Gun Maverick. I don't know how prominent he was, but he was in it.
It was a small cameo, because he was in the first Top Gun. So he was reprising his role, obviously. Um, it was a small little segment he was in.
Oh my god, I did not know that was a video. I apologize. That jump scared me too, so don't worry if you also just got jump scared. Holy shit. Anyways, what were you saying?
It was a small role.
A small role. Okay, it was just like a cameo. Okay, got it.
Yeah, like probably total 5 minutes, 10 minutes of screen time. Yeah, so he just died from pneumonia. What do you think his best role was?
Whatever his name was in Heat.
I have not seen Heat. I need to watch that.
Yes, you do.
He was really good in Tombstone.
Was he in Tombstone?
Yeah.
Who was he in Tombstone? Was he? Oh, okay, never mind. You know, I know who.
Yeah, Doc Holliday.
Yeah, he was Doc Holliday. I always mix him up with because Kurt Russell's in that film too.
Yeah, he plays Wyatt Earp.
Derp. There was something else he was in that was really good.
Yeah, Batman Forever.
I didn't watch that in like 20 years.
Holy shit! I was going to say. Yeah, I've never seen.
When did that come out? I think I saw that.
1995.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think I saw that when it came out. I was 4.
Damn, I was 0.
He was in The Missing.
Too.
Oh, okay, that's a good movie. That's Tommy Lee Jones and Cate Blanchett movie.
Oh,
came out in 2003.
Tommy Lee Jones is a good actor. Yeah, I think so. Out of what I've seen, probably Tombstone would be what I would give him best. But I've heard Heat's a really good movie, so
it is a really good movie. Tombstone's good. Batman Forever's good. I'm looking at what else he was in. He's kind of in some westerns, dude, for a little bit. Oh, he played Jim Morrison in the Doors movie.
The hell's Doors?
The Doors is a band. They're called The Doors. And that movie was like a it was like a movie about their rise to fame, but it was also kind of like a biography, but it was also kind of like a performance movie. I don't know. It was kind of, I mean, have you seen Walk the Line with Joaquin Phoenix? Okay, it was kind of like that. Like a, what are they called? Biopic?
Yeah.
It's kind of like a biopic. But also like it was dramatized, right? So he was in Top Gun. Has he been in most of the Top Guns?
Well, there's only 2 Top Guns.
Well, he was in the 1986 Top Gun.
Yeah.
I thought there was a sequel that had come out between that one and the most recent one.
I don't think so.
Okay.
But he was at least in the first one. Significantly more than in the sequel. So I think when he was in bad health, he released. Well, all right. So he released in 2021. But he has a documentary out.
Okay.
Based off of his life and career.
Interesting. No, he was in the Jay and Silent Bob reboot, which came out in 2019, by the way.
Oh no, okay. So this wasn't based off of just him being in bad health. So it includes footage he shot himself throughout his entire career, including footage of his childhood, home movies. It does showcase his battle with throat cancer. Did you know he dated Cher?
I did not know that.
When he was young as fuck and she was old as fuck.
Damn.
So he was 23. Not actually. He was 23. She was 36.
Smash.
Val Kilmer.
Both, honestly.
Dude, it's kind of crazy. So he was like what I would say is like a pretty boy, and like even at 36, Cher looked kind of rough.
Did she?
Dude, in this fucking photo from 1983, she does. Hold on, let me send it to you. Maybe not throughout her entire life, but dude, right here. That is not a good look.
That's not great, but I think that's mostly the makeup she's wearing.
Maybe. This picture is significantly better. That was the first picture I saw, and I was just like, ugh.
Yeah, so that's her.
The first one I sent.
Yeah,
that second one's significantly better.
The first one you sent is her at 36, and this is her at 76.
She looks better at 76, honestly.
Yeah, I think it was the makeup she was wearing, dude.
Dude, so I thought it was an April Fool's joke because he died on April 1st.
Damn. Imagine if it had been.
Which I also thought I meant to mention this earlier. I also thought the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood sequel was an April Fool's joke because that also was announced, I'm pretty sure, on April Fool's.
I think.
Maybe it still is. Maybe it's a really long ongoing April Fool's joke.
Dude, was the Switch? Something else was announced on April 1st that I was like, dude, is this fucking April Fool's?
April Fool's, gotcha. Can you imagine?
I can.
Well, don't imagine it.
Oh, okay, I won't. Sorry.
Should we wrap it there?
Yeah, we can.
All right, that is episode 2 of Stuck Between a Rock and a Bald Spot.
I can't figure out which way to point.
Point everywhere.
Okay. You have anything else to say? Blow a kiss the camera. I'm not doing it. You can live with just his kiss. Okay. Adios.